Oh boy, the WWE Draft 2021 has concluded, and wasn't great. Wasn't great, I'll be honest. Well, it's a little bit disappointing, isn't it? Welcome to the WrestleTalk Podcast review of Raw. I'm Chopper Pete Quinnell, your Jam That Champion for 100 plus days. Hey, Laurie, did you know, by the way, that if I retain my championship at Crown Jewel in a couple of weeks, I then become the longest reigning champion ever, superseding your reign? Isn't that great?
That's nice. Nice fact.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It's good, isn't it?
It's only a matter of
Can't
time
wait.
before. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah,
Only
it is
a
only a matter
matter
of time
time.
before I become the longest reigning champion ever. You're right. I'm joined by Ultrachats Laurie Blake. Hello.
Hey.
No Luke and Ollie today because
No, we're the kings of the short straw, Peter.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. The kings of the short straw because Ollie is on holiday this week and Luke is on paternity leave. So we're the backups by default. By default, the dream team. That's us. Anyway, welcome to the show. Make sure to get in your Ultrachats to let us know what you thought of the draft in 2021 at WrestleTalk.com/support. We're going to read out all the Ultrachats that are $5 and up by the time the show goes off the air. But first things first, let's talk about the problems with the draft. Because this year was a bit rubbish for a lot of reasons. I spoke about, me and Tempest spoke about a lot of them. Also, mainly me, because Tempest was 10 minutes late to the show on Saturday. No one tell him on that, though. I just had a solo show for about 10 minutes, and then Tempest turned up. But we spoke about the issues with the draft and how it felt very rushed. The rules didn't really make any sense. None of the stories that played out based off the draft really made any sense when you just think about it for a couple of seconds. Like, none of the logistics work out. And then they kind of double down on all of that in this episode of Raw, because the draft in and of itself, my view of what the point of a draft is to make both brands feel fresh and new and exciting. It's supposed to make you want to be excited to watch the show, or the new flavors of the brands, right? And I don't think it did that for me at all this year. I don't think I'm very excited because there's so many questionable decisions in this. Like, not revealing the draft pools beforehand, so we don't know who was eligible to be drafted on either show until it actually happened. And there seemed to be there was not very much pomp and circumstance between each pick. It just goes, here's Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, and they go, Raw drafts this person, SmackDown drafts this person, Raw drafts this person. And it's just, it all seems very kind of formulaic and boring, and you could tell it was very, very rushed because there's some people left on these brands that doesn't make any sense, which we'll get into in a little bit, but it's just really uninspiring is what I'd call it.
Well, I think the biggest thing about it is, I think, like you said, they didn't make a big deal out of the draft. And so, because it's not real, Pete, I don't know if you know, but wrestling is fake. Because the draft is just moving people around for the semblance of freshness every year. It's not quite the same as real sports drafts, where it is literally people's contracts are up, so we have to draft them to new teams, or they re-sign with the team that they're currently with, blah, blah, blah. It's just there to be a story hook. And if you don't make it a story, then how are you going to... What's the bloody point in doing it at all? Because it's irrelevant otherwise. Like, you might as well save it for another time, like when it's more relevant then. Why does it need to happen now if you have no plans for it? In the same way, like, you know, trying to do Hell in a Cell, when it's like trying to do Hell in a Cell just for a pay-per-view always feels a bit unimaginative, and they don't always have the storyline to build into a Hell in a Cell match. You need to bring these things in when they're going to be relevant to the product. And if you're going to choose to do a draft every single year, make sure that it matters and it means something. And don't do things like move Seth Rollins over and also have moved the person that he's just had a load of matches with, so that he immediately is asked about the person he's had loads of matches with. So we're just going to get those same matches, but now they're on a Monday.
But now they're red.
You might sit on a Monday. You might like it on a Monday. I mean, you probably liked it on a Friday. It was pretty good, but like, this is the issue, isn't it? This is the problem. Is like we're having You're moving people around to like shake up the roster, and yet somehow you've kept almost every single feud together, and then split up all your tag teams.
Okay, let's talk about these split ups, because in kayfabe, in the rules of the draft, you can draft tag teams. There is no reason for the Fox and USA networks execs, whoever's doing the kayfabe drafting, to not want to draft the tag team, because you just get more people, right? There's no reason for them to not want that. So we got people, like, you can draft the whole stable. We got Hit Row. It was one pick. That's 4 people in one. Crazy, right? Well, that's awesome. So why? And you could make a kayfabe argument. Why don't you draft the whole New Day together? Why'd you split them up, right? You could make the kayfabe argument that maybe, because Big E's the WWE champion, he has to be picked as a solo act, right? And you have the rest of the New Day go over to another brand. You could make that argument. Sure, I don't think that tracks, because Swerve is the North American champion as part of Hit Row that got drafted as a stable. But sure, let's go along that. Why? Because we got some additional picks on Raw Talk after this show. Why would you draft Veer and not Shanky and Jinder Mahal? That's a thing that happened. Why would you do that?
Oh no, Pete.
Why would you draft Tamina and not Natalya? Why would you draft Tegan Nox and not Shotzi Blackheart? All of those things actually happened. But why? Why are you so insistent on breaking up all of your teams? And they also split up Mason T-Bar as well. Like, I
think when it's like low-level stuff, it doesn't necessarily matter. Like, I don't think anyone's having... None of these people were involved in immensely important storylines. But I think the problem is WWE doesn't know if people are or they aren't, or like... And then we're now in this weird liminal space between the draft has happened, but it's not necessarily finished, because Jeff Hardy's still going to be on Raw for a little bit before he goes to SmackDown properly. And he's still having matches that are relevant to Raw, but not to SmackDown. But also, it's like his farewell match. And so he's not winning. And then he's talking about what he's going to do when he gets to SmackDown. It's just, it's baffling. They're like, this Raw really smacked of a show that was trying to do far too much and managing to do nothing. Like, it was trying to set up a crown jewel. It was trying to resolve the draft. It was trying to move people on and resolve storylines from Raw, while also not resolving storylines, because the people who are moving, they don't really care about anymore. And it was also attempting to basically come up with reasons why everyone was maintaining a level of power that means that nothing is spoiled for Crown Jewel. So, like, nothing happened essentially on this Raw, apart from it's announced that in maybe 2 weeks' time, something might happen with some new people. We might see some new people. And it was all these introductions, these weird introductions as well. I don't know, this draft just didn't feel like an event. It was just tacked on to a regular episode of Raw. And really felt secondary to the fact that Crown Jewel's coming up in just over 2 weeks now. So 2 weeks, 2 days. Like, I think that's the main problem, is like the draft before did really feel like a whole inter-brand, really stupid thing. Everyone's in their t-shirts, they're sitting backstage and waiting to be drafted, and they come out and like it's a real presentation, like the way that sports drafts are actually made into television, and then like a big event and a big show, and you get the whole kind of pomp and circumstance, like you said. This really didn't have any of that. It was just Pearson DeVille could not have seemed more bored, and the commentators were just like, "Whoa, Finn Balor, can't believe it. What's next? Oh, not Alexa Bliss. She's spooky. Man, can't believe Ricochet's gone."
Yeah.
And that's it. There are those small positives. It's like, it's weird. It's also weird the way the balance has worked out. Raw has got all these big, beefy blokes now, and SmackDown has taken basically all the people who were not being really used by Raw and a bunch of NXT people. So I think SmackDown's actually ended up with, it's not got the big star power necessarily, but it's got quite a nifty little roster of like interesting new people, quite fresh faces. So, and I'm really excited to see people like Shayna Baszler and Ricochet over there, where they might get used properly for the first time since they kind of got called up. So it'd be interesting.
I I get that. I also am not interested in that because WWE hasn't earned my trust. Like I can't get my hopes up for them to be like, oh well, they might use them properly over on this show. It's like, we'll just use them properly in the first place. This is a problem that
you jaded hack, Pete.
Hey man,
you jaded hack. You've been burned too many times before. Even Pavlov's dog learned. You are right.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, there was so much going into the show as well. Like, they had the storyline with the Usos that they set up on SmackDown of, again, this makes no sense if you think about it for more than 2 seconds. Roman Reigns being mad at Paul Heyman. He's like, why weren't the Usos drafted today? Why was Brock Lesnar a free agent? And yet the Usos weren't drafted to SmackDown. It's like, well, they weren't part of the draft pool, were they, last week? You idiot. They're clearly part of the draft pool on Monday. And then he's like, well, Paul, you better go to Raw and make sure that the Usos get drafted to SmackDown. And then the Usos, he ordered them to go with them. And he's like, well, if you don't get drafted to SmackDown, make sure you leave Paul Heyman for dead on Raw. That's an exact quote. That's what he said. Leave him for dead on Raw. So how was that storyline progressed and paid off? In the first pick, Usos SmackDown, and it shows him backstage going, hey, that's it. That's the whole story.
But it explained why Paul was sweating, Pete. Maybe they knew it was going to be a hot day beforehand. They were like, we need a reason that Paul's going to be sweating his tits off. So let's make up Yeah, I know, I completely agree with you. And then they had that bit where they mentioned Brock being a free agent and the Usos looked at him grumpily and then walked off. So, like, it's a tiny little sow of tension, but doesn't mean nothing.
Even that, they go up and be like, can you tell us more about Brock Lesnar being a free agent? And then the Usos go, "Rrr." And then everyone just walks off. It's like, no, he asked you a question. You can answer it or not. And the interviewer just walks off. It's like, wait, but you asked a question. Do you not want the answer to it?
That's a journalism, Pete. I've done the journalism. I asked the question. Did I wait for the answer? Doesn't matter. Now give me my Pulitzer.
And very quickly, I did just want to mention as well, after this, because they split up Natalya and Tamina and Shotzi and Knox, there is now one women's tag team left in the women's tag team division, who are the champions, who's a thrown together team of Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH.
Oh, and they don't like each other.
No, they don't.
So, like, when she was like, we're going to give them the boom zap kapows, Rhea Ripley was shooting daggers. Absolutely shooting daggers at Nikki ASH. So, like, this team is not long for the world. Like, it cannot be.
No. Mate, on Raw last week, they couldn't agree on the color blue. Like, what are they going to do? How are they going to solve these
How will they coexist
issues
when they don't see the world the same way, Pete?
Exactly, yeah. Overall, I thought this was very underwhelming. For 2 back-to-back draft episodes, very underwhelming. I'm not super pumped about... A lot of the changes are very superficial. It's like, this person is now going to be wrestling under red lights instead of blue. And like that was like as much as it got. It wasn't like, oh, this person who hasn't been on SmackDown in X amount of years or whatever. It was just like, this person is now over here. Get excited.
I think the thing you need for it is for it to come at a time when storylines end. So, like, had Extreme Rules wrapped up a bunch of storylines that weren't going to continue, you bring in the draft, and on the draft, what happens is someone comes out and says, hey, I'm the Universal Champion, for instance. I've just beaten this guy, and there are now no more competitors left. Boom, somebody's music hits, out walks that guy, who is a surprise, and it immediately starts a story. So, like, when you're just doing it in this rote, 2 people behind a podium, taking turns to pick different people and saying they're going somewhere, you get a graphic and then a really awkward shot of someone backstage going, yes, raw. Like, that's not good TV. It's bad TV. And you're much better off using the draft as a backwards mechanism. Like, it makes more sense that Becky comes out at the beginning of the show and announces herself as the first pick, because at least that's a story. At least that's something happening. At least she's got a motivation for being there. But it doesn't make sense when the other champion's gone over the other brand, and then she says, why don't we have a match? Even though there are 2 other matches lined up that I'm supposed to be having and you're supposed to be having. So that makes all of those irrelevant. Yeah, like, that doesn't make any sense. But like, having people come out and be walk straight into storylines and have surprises happening, and like, people should be jumping people and beating them down as a way to announce their presence on a show. It shouldn't just be Sheamus is over there, it's coming over here, and so we'll deal with it later.
And even the people that show up on the show don't necessarily get the best treatment. Hey, it's Kevin Owens, he's on Raw. and he gets interrupted by Akira Tozawa, and he hit a stunner.
And then he left. He didn't even say what he wanted to say.
Whoop-de-doo. Like,
oh my God. What? That was an absolute cul-de-sac of story, that bit. There was like, here's Kevin Owens to say something. Oh no, Tozawa's come out to importantly wait for a match with Reginald that he's not having. And then a stunner. And then Kevin Owens just leaves. And the commentator was like, that's what you get with Kevin Owens. It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Unfulfilled segments. Is that what you get with Kevin Owens? Jesus Christ. God. Oh, man. It's what it is. Anyway, let's see what you guys thought. Let's get into some Ultra Chats of yours, and we'll talk about the rest of the show afterwards. Sean Blandford says, the men's main event scene on SmackDown is weak once Roman has his inevitable feud with Drew. Who is going to be the one to beat Roman from what's left? Jeff Hardy, Nakamura, Kofi? I've said it before, but Roman has been built up too strong. Please, save us, Walter. I mean...
I'd love to see Walter versus Roman Reigns. I would love to see that.
Yeah. I mean, it won't happen, I don't think, but I'd love to see it.
Especially but now he does. It's the best time to do it. He doesn't wear a vest anymore, Pete.
Lots of chops.
You could slap that guy.
Slap that man. Lakshmi Narasimhan B says, didn't McIntyre just cut a promo last Friday about going after the Universal title? He just changed his mind over the weekend. Also, like Brock Lesnar, the big guy above is also a free agent, I guess. Wreck WWE main event one day, cost Miro the title another. Yeah, I know. God went undrafted in this WWE draft, so it's pretty big deal. He's a free agent now. Also, that rule doesn't make any sense. If you don't get drafted, you just get to pick whatever show you want to go to. Why would you want to be drafted then?
Yeah, you could choose. Man.
You want to actively not be drafted, because then you can just choose whatever show you want to get in kayfabe.
Just don't do a draft. Just move people. Who cares?
Yeah. God, it's dumb. Anyway, Charlesburg says, Kevin Owens looks like he wants to go. Here's some manservant suggestions. Make Ollie clip your toenails. Disgusting. Make Ollie brush his teeth, then drink OJ. Have Ollie eat an entire jar of jam. I think this says...
I'm sorry. Three of those, of those three things, only one of them is actually like manservant-y. Like the point of a manservant is they do useful stuff, not, oh my God, all this jam needs eating, Ollie.
Yes. There is one more, and this does have a touch of the Drake Mavericks, and we know how much Ollie loves Drake Maverick. He has a whole meme around it.
Is it, piss yourself, Dave?
Yeah, make Ollie piss his pants. God. That's what it says, yeah.
Make him piss his pants. Yeah. Ollie, these pants need pissing. Could you sort that out for me?
Yeah. And then he says, okay, the last one is far too cruel. Don't do that. I mean, maybe. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But thank you for the suggestion.
I think we've all lost sight of the meaning of manservant.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm just going to say, once we get to 815,000 subscribers on the main channel, I want to make Ollie do something extra embarrassing, because why not? But we need to get there first before he gets back from his holiday, ideally. So
make him shave his head. He'd hate that.
Yes. Oh, that's such a good idea.
It's a horrible.
Because he's just got his hair.
It's just grown back, mate.
Oh, it's good. Anyway, we'll get into more of your Ultra Chats later on. Keep sending those in at WrestleTalk.com/support. But for now, let's get into the review of the main show, which started off with SmackDown Women's Champion Becky Lynch coming out to say that she is going to jump the gun because she does what she wants to, and reveals that she is, in fact, the first pick for Raw.
She's so cool.
I don't... This kind of just raises a logistics question. Again, it makes total sense if you don't think about it. But if you think about it, how did she know her pick before it was announced? Because everyone else on the show reacts to the announcement of them being drafted. So it's a surprise to everyone. Why does she know beforehand?
I guess if she just says, then it's just like she has to.
That's true. I guess.
I can't dig into it. I just don't want to. I am already over Becky Lynch. Now I don't like the new Becky Lynch, and I don't like the inevitability that comes of a Becky Lynch appearance. Becky appearing on this show signaled that the finish of the match, the main event, was going to be a schmoz. Yep. It signals the fact that probably the match at Crown Jewel isn't going to be up to much snuff. And yeah, it just, everything about it just screams like this is a narrative dead end. We are spinning our wheels until you really think that the storyline is going to kick into gear and actually something will change and something will happen. Becky, they've booked Becky too strong, essentially. And they and I liked, Becky when she came up and sort of the whole bloody nose leading Team SmackDown for Survivor Series, leading into the Ronda Rousey stuff, was all great. But now I know it's meant to be obnoxious now. It's too obnoxious almost. And it's just not doing it for me, because having a character whose whole thing is like, I am inevitable and I'm going to ruin this thing. And then it happens and they're ruined. It's like, you don't even have time to root for the other person to come up and be like, please stop her from doing that. And yeah, it's just the overexposure is getting to be too much. Yeah. So Becky comes out. What was the point of Bianca Belair losing the SmackDown Women's Championship if it's just going to be Becky versus Charlotte again with all the belts on the line?
That's
why?
The point. That's the point, Laurie. You just said it. It's Becky versus Charlotte again. That's what they want.
Yeah. And then we do Becky 2 belts, and then we've got leftover stock of those belts, of those t-shirts, so we do that. And then I don't know, man. I've just not been into it for I was really into the whole Becky thing for ages, and then it's just slowly whittled away, and I don't think they built up any goodwill bringing her back and having her beat Bianca Belair. And this is, I think the crowd are still really into her. They were really into her and Bianca Belair here, and they booed Charlotte, which is what you're supposed to do with Charlotte. So everything worked in this segment.
And I will say as well, I'm not a huge fan of Charlotte Flair. I know she's objectively a very good wrestler. I thought her promo here was very good. I thought she probably had the best promo of the three of them. I thought she came off really, really well. I think she's really, it sounds condescending, but I feel like she's really found her legs with this current character that she's got, being like the opportunity and handing out the opportunities to all the young upstarts and stuff like that. And yeah,
but this is the exact same deal as what. Yeah, sorry. This is what Charlotte's doing is exactly what Becky's doing, but Becky is a pseudo, like a sort of in betweener. And Charlotte is just a heel. Like Charlotte is also doing, I am inevitable. You understand that when Charlotte appears in a match, it's likely Charlotte's going to win. And you don't like that as a fan. But because the way she plays it, she just about makes it work. And she does have that, she just has a great, whatever the inverse of rapport is with the crowd. She's got that relationship with the crowd where they will happily chant at her and do whatever. And she just rides it and completely controls that scenario to say what she's got to say. And everything she does digs the hole a little bit deeper and makes people a little bit more angry. She's great. I think she's a brilliant promo.
Yeah. No, this was really, really good. And it felt very natural as well from her, which was very good. Again, this is nitpicking, but it's the kind of thing where if you just think about it for more than 2 seconds, doesn't make any sense. Was Bianca Belair saying, technically, you don't even go here? Charlotte's like, yeah, she does until after Crown Jewel. That's when the picks actually come into effect.
And she's got the belt.
She still does. And she's still got the Raw Women's Championship. So actually doesn't make any sense, Bianca. But nice try. It's just to get out of the line if you don't even go here, I guess. But didn't really work on this one. Anyway.
For the second time, because she goes here now.
Yeah.
This is it. Yeah. Catchphrase C.
Yeah, absolutely. But then the segment just kind of ends. Becky was being like the instigator, trying to rile everyone up. And then the segment just kind of ends when Pierce and Deville come out and go it's going to be Bianca versus Charlotte in the main event. And also we're going to have Rhea and Nikki versus Natalya and Tamina. And everyone went, oh, that's not quite as fun. And then they went, and also we're going to have Damian Priest and Jeff Hardy right now. And then they started entering. And I was like, wait, what happened to are they done? I guess they're done.
They're done. Okay, they're finished. Sure. Becky's brilliant plan to rile the two people up to have a match for the Raw Women's Championship, which you shouldn't really need to do because you just say there's going to be a championship match. That's fine. We didn't need anything more. I don't know what the brilliant plan here was of Becky's to make two people have a match so that she could interfere in the match. What was her goal? What was her goal in putting Charlotte's belt on the line against Bianca Belair?
You're doing the thing that I do, which is
thinking
about
it.
Pete.
I'm thinking about it. Sorry, but this is it. What was her goal, Pete? Because she made Charlotte and Bianca whip them up into a frenzy, so they were like, "Let's have a match for the championship." Then Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce, they come out of the back. Pete, they come out from the back, and they said to him, you're going to have a match for the main event. And Becky's like, brilliant, rubs her hands together. I've done a plan. I've bloody well done a plan. And she tells the commentators when she's on the thing later, look at this plan I did. I told them to have a match. And now they're having the match, Pete. They're having it. And then she goes, when the match is happening, she goes and she stops Bianca from winning the belt. What's the bloody point? Like, you only set up the match because you want Charlotte to lose the belt because you can beat Bianca in 26 seconds and be Becky 2 belts. Like, that's much easier for you than it is to try and beat Charlotte Flair, who is legitimately the most decorated woman in professional wrestling.
See, there's a lot of people that accuse us of overthinking WWE planning. I would counter that by saying, no, we're just thinking. There's a difference, right? As just, I think it was a non-title match, by the way, just to clarify that. It's a non-title match. Yeah, which means that Becky interfering means even less. Like, makes even less sense. Because what does it matter who wins to her? Literally makes no difference to her. Whatever.
Why wouldn't you beat up Charlotte? But also, why wouldn't you beat up Charlotte in that sense? Because you're going to have the match against...
Because Bianca's the match
against Bianca. I got a match against Bianca first, I guess, because they're doing Crown Jewel. But
whatever.
That's a hard brain.
They then had the first round of picks. Raw got Becky Lynch. SmackDown got the Usos, which they really didn't hype up at all. And just finished that story from SmackDown. Rad. Raw then got Bobby Lashley, and SmackDown got Sasha Banks. Cool. Damian Priest then defended the US title against Jeff Hardy again, and was a match. Jeff Hardy lost. He hit the Swanton. And then Damian Priest did a crucifix pin. And that was it.
See you, Jeff. Godspeed.
Yeah, it was fine. And then Hardy did a promo afterwards and said, SmackDown, you can maybe see a different side of Hardy, a different ego, which, again, I don't believe until I see it. I'm sorry, but WWE has not instilled that confidence in me at all. There was a tease of Willow when he was feuding with Sheamus. I didn't go anywhere.
They're going to do Willow.
Fight in a bar.
Hundo P.
I hate it. But then there was something that I did really like, which was Austin Theory coming down and fanboying out and being like, "Oh my god, I'm in the ring with Jeff Hardy. I can't believe it. Like my journey's been so crazy. My name's Austin Theory. I'm sorry to ask this. Can I just take a selfie with you?" And Hardy's like, "Sure, I guess. Yeah, sure. Why not?" And he went in and he was like, oh, it's not working. And then just turns around, clocks in one, does his cool looking finish thing, which is like a GTS spinny knee thing. It's cool. And then takes a picture with the unconscious Hardy instead. I thought he acted his role here very well. Austin Theory came off really well here.
I think Austin Theory, this is the way you want to reintroduce someone to a brand, like add someone in. It gives him a little character in a very short space of time. Like, he's obviously a prick. And it's just, that's fine. Like, he's got kind of like, that whole being one of the youngest guys to be drafted thing. Like, it's going to work wonders for him being like, oh yeah, I'm going to, I'm almost a student of the game. I like, I do kind of respect these legends, but in a certain way, I want to kill them, Pete. I want to kill the legends. I'm Randy Orton 2.0.
You saying the word kill? That word that gets thrown around quite a lot on Raw these days, apparently.
Hey, man.
According to Goldberg.
We all die sometimes.
It's true, yeah. Just very quickly, just wanted to reference something very quick. Just saw someone say in the chat that people saying that we should be in the office. Laurie lives on the other side of the country now, so there is a reason. There's a reason we are remote. Is because we don't both live in London anymore. So
yeah, I'm not traveling for this.
No. He travels down for the No Rolls Barred shoots and then pisses off back up to the other end of the country.
Oh yeah.
So that is why we are doing it remotely. Anyway, after that, we got RKBro backstage. They do some dick jokes. Randy is back, which is good. Same reports from last week saying he missed Raw on a house show because he wasn't cleared to compete, but it seems like he's cleared now, which is great. Yep. And Randy wants Omos in a match. Okay. Cool. Anyway, after that, Shayna Baszler then destroyed Dana Brooke. And the commentary...
Corey Graves.
Corey Graves. Oh my God.
Don't pull your punches, mate. Don't pull him.
Oh, just literally being like, hey, I'm all for, talent being given a chance to improve, but Dana Brooke has not shown any potential. It's like, Jesus Christ, Corey.
She has accomplished nothing.
She's accomplished nothing.
Brutal.
I mean, it's true, but also, Jesus Christ, that's WWE's booking. Like, that's not Dana.
No, that's exactly true. Yeah, and it's a shame as well because, like, you know what they say about like it doesn't help. It doesn't enhance anyone to do that to your own talent in commentary because, like Chris Jericho always said about people, is like you're much better off saying how good your opponent is because then when you beat your opponent, you look even better than them. Like, there's no point deriding someone and putting them down because if you then lose, you look stupid. And here, for the commentary to say that Shayna Baszler is destroying Dana Brooke doesn't make Shayna look any better because obviously she's beating up a weakling who's got no potential and doesn't make Dana look any good. So it's like, also, why is Dana even in the match? Like, it doesn't, none of this enhances anyone. So it's a completely pointless, spiteful thing to say.
Yeah. And it is. And I mean, I'm not saying this is particularly Corey's prerogative. I'm not saying that he took it on his back because we all know at this point that commentators are just mouthpieces for Vinnie Mac and what he wants to say. More than anything, this just feels like Vince McMahon calling a direct shot to Dana Brooke and being like, you haven't improved. Like, Jesus Christ. Burying your own talent on air? Like, come on, guys. You're better than that.
Even
I say that,
you know, and Corey's playing a character. Like, Corey is obviously playing a character in his role as a commentator, but I think that probably goes one step too far because it was beyond a joke. Yeah, like it was almost too sort of cutting of her WWE trajectory so far. That I don't think it was. It just doesn't serve any purpose to me as a bit of commentary.
Yeah. But then Shayna Baszler goes to do the same attack on Dana Brooke on the stairs that she's done to Nia Jax and to Eva Marie, and Doudrop comes out to make the save. She does a little skip down with the jazz hands on the way down. Sure. And then there was a really awkward standoff where she kind of went in and they stared off at each other and kind of mouthed off a little bit. And then she turned around and then Baszler went, on her back. And then she went,
hey,
my back? Why would you hit me on the back? That really hurt. Ugh. And then they kind of stared at each other a bit.
Waiting for the segment to end.
That was the segment. Yeah.
That was, it was just, there was nothing. It wasn't like Shayna didn't look shocked that Doudrop didn't like react to the punch. Like, Doudrop absolutely no-sold it. Doudrop looked confused that, I don't know if she knew that she'd been hit or not. She's just like,
It was like,
and then so they were like staring at each other, and all the while Dana's also just staring at them, like, what is happening?
Yeah.
But so I guess
it wasn't a very good punch from Shayna. It was like a forearm to like a part of the back. It was just like a little on the back. If it was also, like a big like punch to the face and Doudrop was like, oh, that barely hit me kind of thing, then I could maybe buy it. But it was just like a little tap on the back. And then she was like, why have you done this? And that was it.
And it's the thing is like, so we're going to get Shayna versus Doudrop, next week or the week after before Shayna goes over to SmackDown. And so Shayna will then lose to Doudrop and then Shayna will go to SmackDown. So you
don't say that.
No, because that's what will happen. And then this is the thing as well, is like for some reason in a brand split situation, they're like the wins and losses on one show don't have a knock-on effect to the other show, even though what they want you to be is a fan of all the shows. So like, how can you expect, and I'm not saying that, they might not do this, but I feel like this is the inevitable direction that it's going in. If Doudrop beats Shayna Baszler and then Baszler goes over to SmackDown, doesn't Shayna Baszler carry the baggage of having lost to Doudrop like last week to SmackDown? Do people not remember these things? And obviously, like, it's a bit different if she was coming from NXT, because obviously NXT barely exists and it's all a fever dream we've all been having. But yeah, like Raw and SmackDown definitely cross-reference each other all the time. So it is a bit weird to be like, you have to have a send-off match and it has to be built this way.
Yeah, and it has cross-reference. It cross-references itself until it doesn't, because Alexa Bliss didn't lose to Charlotte Flair at Extreme Rules because Charlotte Flair just successfully retained. Against who? Doesn't matter. Won't mention it. Doesn't matter. Got Alexa Bliss drafted? Great. She's great.
Yeah.
Isn't she great? She had a breakdown at Extreme Rules. What? Because of what?
What was that?
Doesn't matter.
About?
What was that about? Doesn't matter. Don't talk about it.
Dolly.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, whatever. We got second round of the draft.
So many sentences about Raw, Pete. With whatever.
That's my entire feeling about the show. Genuinely, that's my. You want my 2-word summary about the show? It's whatever. We got the second round of draft picks. Raw gets Seth Rollins to join Edge. Nakamura and Boogs stay on SmackDown. Damian Priest stays on Raw, and SmackDown gets Sheamus. Yay! I get Sheamus on the show that I review. Yay! Sheamus is blue now. That makes me happy. Paul Heyman and the Usos are backstage. Paul Heyman gets asked about maintaining Brock Lesnar's free agent status, which doesn't make any sense because Brock Lesnar now needs to pick a show. That's what being a free agent means as part of the draft rules. Again, if you actually think about it, it doesn't mean he's now a permanent free agent. It means he now just gets to pick what show he goes on to. He doesn't just get to roam. That's not how it works.
No. I don't think you can stop him roaming. You try holding him back. Look at him. He's
a
wild man of the woods now, Pete. He does
and
what
then
he
everyone
wants.
walks away. Sure. Ali and Mansoor face Garza and Carrillo. Fun match. Not very long, but a fun little match. Garza and Carrillo won. There was also a bit where Ali hit this kind of cool looking driver where he hooked one of the legs and span around, hit this cool looking driver. And one of the commentary team, I think it was whatever his name is, Smithman, the lead guy, went, "What a chop."
What a chop.
What a chop.
He's got great chops. Was he talking about his chops or was he talking about...
I don't know. Just the quote was, "What a chop." After he hooked the leg, spun him around.
Do you think they're doing it?
Driver.
Do you think
what
they're
a
actually
chop.
playing the comment? Do you think they've got the commentary down now that they don't actually... They're not there. It's all pre-recorded and people just press noise buttons. Like that Daft Punk thing you used to be able to get on your phone that would do stronger. Yeah, that's how they do it. I love this section, Pete, because this was where the pace really picked up a notch on WWE. Because this match, they came out and they had a 4-minute match, maybe 5 minutes at a push. Humberto Carrillo posts Ali's head into the posts when the referee's looking the other way. They get the pin. No time to celebrate though, Pete, because here comes Big E. Big E comes down, but no time to watch Big E come down to the ring, Pete, because you've got to do the draft picks. What an incredibly fast bit of show. I loved it. It's just let's have all the stimulus. They might as well have just done 3 flipping split screens at once. I would have loved that. Let's see these guys celebrate. Big E can walk to the ring to his music, and the draft can be announced over Big E's entrance.
Perfect. Yeah.
Already in the ring. Somebody else for later.
See, people have gotten mad at me and Tempest because we keep talking about how bad WWE's pacing is. But goddamn, guys, this section in particular, it was unbelievable. When Laurie says, "Oh, they won, no time to celebrate, here comes Big E," that's literally how fast it happened. They got the victory, and about 2 seconds later, Big E's music hits. When he says no time to celebrate, there is no time to celebrate.
Pete, they knew that the Kevin Owens bit was going to go long. That's why they had to get this over with, because they knew Kevin Owens was going to take too long to do that stunner that he had to do. Yeah. I love it. It's a 3-hour show, Pete. How do you need to do this to get through a 3-hour show where 90% of it is people just going, "I am a wrestler and I am here to do a wrestling with you.
I'm now on the Red Show."
Charlotte Flair comes out. I am going to say some things. Here's Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair says some more things, and then 3 more people interrupt. There's so much time for actual wrestling on these shows.
I know.
Wrestling is to them like what scones or scones are in a cream tea, Pete. They are merely a vessel to deliver the delicious jam and cream of Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce behind a podium delivering draft picks. Nobody wants this stupid bread bit. Just give me more of the cream and jam, Pete. More of the cream and jam.
Jam that scone. After that, we got some more the draft picks while Big E was doing his entrance. Raw got AJ Styles and Omos. SmackDown got Shayna Baszler. Raw got Kevin Owens. And SmackDown got Xia Li from NXT.
Cool.
I hope Xia Li does well.
Do you think they're going to bring like Tian Sha with her, or do you think that's
No.
it's going to just be
No,
go back to the old spicy Xia Li character?
They've been doing the Tian Sha and Boa thing still on NXT, so I think they're going to stay as a duo, and I think Xia Li is probably going to keep the Tian Sha gimmick, but without being in Tian Sha.
Yeah,
and it's just going to be, this is Xia Li, and maybe she'll get joined by Mei Ying and Boa on the main roster. I'd hate that, but that's just me. God, I'm so over that Tian Sha gimmick. Me and Temper say it all the time. Get to the point of this Tian Sha gimmick, please. For God's sake, it's been going for months.
So the point, Pete, is Mortal Kombat.
Don't. Big E then did a promo saying that for the second consecutive year, Woods and Kingston were drafted to a brand I'm not on. And I just thought, but why? Why is that, E? Can you please explain that to me?
What you could have done, E, is save the Money in the Bank briefcase until after the draft and then forced your way onto a different brand by becoming the champion.
Yeah. Oh, you know what else as well? When you were saying about when they should do the draft when it's relevant to a story, doing it a month before Survivor Series, when Survivor Series is Raw versus SmackDown, and they're like, oh, these people bleed blue. It's like, you've been there for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Stop
a lot of their stuff is still in the bin bag at the other show at this point.
Exactly. But Big E then did a promo, called out Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre comes out, challenges Big E for the WWE Championship. And then the Dirty Dogs come out. And I was like, ugh. And I was like, ugh, okay, this is going to be boring. Dolph Ziggler's promo was good because it referenced continuity.
It had motivation. He had a reason to be there and a reason to be cross. And that was both of these guys in the ring right now had history with Dolph Ziggler, and they should be thanking him for their current prominence in the company while he's obviously slumming it with Big Bob. And that, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. You can literally reference the past. You can show the footage. Dolph's character actually has a reason to be there. It's not just, yes, it is your classic, we're going to have a tag match with two guys who are going to have a match later on. How will they coexist storyline? But you've given it a reason for happening. So actually, well done, WWE. This actually made sense. Yeah. I liked it.
But the thing is, why can't you do this all the time and reference your own continuity that you've made? It's there. Just reference it. It's not hard. Everyone has some interlinked history somewhere.
Charlotte retained at Extreme Rules, Pete, and we will not talk about why.
Ziggler says he just wants a thank you. And you know what? He's kind of right, honestly. And then Biggie says, you know what we do owe you? We owe you an ass whipping. I was like, why? That's fine, whatever. And then they make a tag match.
The temerity, obviously. Pete. The temerity to come out.
Of course, yeah. Bobby Roode calls himself Big Bob. And Biggie says, literally not one person calls you that. It was a funny line. It was good. And yeah, they make the tag match. And in the tag match, it was fun. Decent little match. But McIntyre won by tagging himself in on Big E. Ooh, tension. And then Big E just he had Dolph Ziggler up for the big ending. And he gets tagged and he just goes, well, I guess I'm not going to hit this move anymore. And just drops him on the floor.
It's like, all right, there we go. And then Rude runs in at the end after I'll post the Claymore to be like, I'll take the big ending then, shall I? I like the fact that they were calling this was Big Bob and DZ versus Big E and Big D.
Yeah. Big D's taken.
Big D's Killian Dane. We all know that. Big Damo, mate.
Big Damo. Big D.
Watch no start.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and then they make the crown jewel match official of Big E versus Drew McIntyre. I wonder who's going to win. Considering that Big E's on Raw and Drew McIntyre is going to SmackDown and the Universal Champion is on SmackDown.
Could be a swerve, Pete.
Could be a swerve. Maybe Drew McIntyre is going to win, take it to SmackDown, and Brock Lesnar is going to win the Universal Championship and take it to Raw.
Maybe.
I'd hate it so much.
Yeah, me too.
It would be awful because Big E would lose and Roman would lose. That would be awful.
It's one of those things where you just. Yeah, it's cool. I want to see the match, but we could have just had the match without I wish they wouldn't announce so much stuff in advance and make it so obvious where people But this is the other thing the draft does, is make it so obvious where people's allegiances lie that this next 2 weeks, like I said, is a liminal space. We are just sitting in between places, waiting for there to be like a defined roster so that stuff can be consequential once again. We then saw Reginald backstage to move on.
He did some flips.
And he wanted to talk to Adam Pearce about the draft. He didn't ask his question. He just said, I'd like to talk to you about the draft. And Pearce just legged it. He then got chased and he ran up a thing and then along a ladder. And then at the top of the ladder, he did a side flip back down to where he'd got up and landed in front of Apollo Crews. So unless people on the WWE roster who are challenging for the 24/7 title cannot look up and to the left, he was in the same place he was before. He had gone. There was physically nothing stopping them from being directly next to him, because we never got a shot that panned back to see them all climbing up the ladder to chase him.
Laurie, what you're doing is thinking about it.
Right, I'll stop.
But no, Laurie, don't you understand? He did some flips.
It was a good flip. It was a great flip. I like
flips.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Crazy.
you should do more flips,
Right?
Pete.
Oh,
you could be a bigger champion than that.
Pete, do a flip. Kevin Owens came out. Doesn't get a word out of his promo before Akira Tozawa interrupts. And then they did a recap of Akira Tozawa getting bodied by Keith Lee last week, who's a heel, by the way. And then Kevin Owens bodies Akira Tozawa by hitting a stunner, who's a babyface. All right.
It's more about who Akira Tozawa is. An annoyance.
Yeah.
They liked it. They laughed so much last week that this week it needed to happen again. I don't understand. Like, is the stunner that magical that we needed to do? We need to spend 3 minutes setting it up, because it doesn't have the same power when Kevin Owens does it as it did when like Stone Cold did it. Like, you could really build into a Stone Cold doing the stunner. Like, I don't feel the magic from Kevin Owens hitting the stunner. It doesn't have that same like FU attitude that Stone Cold's did, you know? Like, Stone Cold's felt like it encapsulated the moment of the Attitude Era. It was like what we all wanted to do to the bosses, and it all happened in the right time, in the right place. Just doing it to Akira Tozawa because he's clearly a hapless idiot who thinks he's having a match with a man who ran away. It's not really. It's a 20-year-old joke we're still doing, apparently.
Yeah.
Is the other thing.
Also, I just wanted to very quickly point out, saw a very funny thing in the chat. The wrestlers in the 24/7 title picture are all Skyrim guards. Must be the wind. As soon as he gets out of eyeline, they're like, where did he go? Oh, very good. We got the next round of draft picks. Raw gets the Street Profits. SmackDown gets the Viking Raiders. Raw got... I didn't write this down. I just
Finn Balor.
Finn Balor.
Finn
There
Balor.
it is.
And then SmackDown took Ricochet, which is like I said, I think it's really great that the Viking Raiders and Ricochet are going over. Probably get used over there. That'd be cool.
You say that, but they won't.
But Vikings versus Usos, Pete.
Sure, maybe. They're probably just going to resell it because Alpha Academy have gone to Raw, I think, now, and they were teasing Alpha Academy versus Usos, so I guess that's not happening now. Whatever. But they'll just kind of cycle through the tag teams like they were doing on SmackDown before, when they had Ziggler and Rude, Street Profits, Alpha Academy, Mysterios, and Usos. And then they just kind of cycled through them for the Usos as challengers. And I guess they're going to do that with the Viking Raiders, and I'm sure that might be a fun match if they actually care. But I don't know. Again,
I'm hoping they see something in... I'm hoping they do something with the Viking Raiders, and I'm really hopeful that they do something with Ricochet now. And they just he's gone over there. This is like, he's basically been stuck on Raw for ages now, and just floating around the bottom, like just circling the drain. And so this is actually genuinely like something fresh to see Ricochet do, and hopefully they go, okay, well, he's someone good to put into the Intercontinental title picture. He is, and I'm doubtful but hopeful.
I'm really happy you have optimism. I don't. Soz mate, Soz WWE, but you're gonna have to work harder.
Someone's got to do it, Pete. I trust.
Yeah.
Do so, Ricochet. I demand it.
Do something Ricochet. Do something with Viking Raiders, but probably not because Viking Raiders were involved in that 24/7 title scene on Raw. Anyway,
just Nikki find one thing to This is the thing. You only need to find this is the way WWE booking works, Pete. You only need to find one thing for him to do, and he can do it for 6 months because that's the way the booking works.
That's true.
You're right. Speaking of which, Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH versus Natalya and Tamina.
My first note of this match was, I don't care.
Boom, zap, kapow. I thought this was fine. This was the champions dominated. They won pretty quickly. Rhea hits a Riptide, and then the combination splash move. We might want to rethink that if we can't do that smoothly because it looked dodgy. She had to try and get Nikki ASH onto her shoulders so that she could sort of push her off into a splash, and it was a comedy of errors, shall we say. There were a few attempts to get her up. There was a wobble. It just didn't work.
Yeah. And
I think they also, because the splash off the corner is at least more impressive. It's from Rhea Ripley's not taller than a turnbuckle. So
but it's a tag team finisher. If someone else does it, they get so much more torque behind it, you know?
Just do the Riptide and then have her jump on them. That's a tag team finisher.
Yeah, it works. Mickey won, obviously, and we got from the extra picks later on, Natalya and Tamina got split up, so that's the end of that. Great run they had. Next round of picks, Raw got Karrion Kross, SmackDown got Garza and Carrillo, Raw got Alexa Bliss, and SmackDown got Cesaro. Cool. Solid picks all around. I'm happy that Garza and Carrillo are going over to SmackDown. That makes me happy because I think they're great. I think they got a lot of upside. Goldberg then came out next, and he got introduced as the Icon. I'm like, no, that's someone else. The Icon, Goldberg. No,
We're
that's
retconning it. We are retconning that.
That's Sting, but sure. Goldberg came out, and in pretty much every line of this promo said he wanted to kill Bobby Lashley. He said he wants to break his neck. And then Lashley came out and says, I can give you a match at Crown Jewel as long as it's no holds barred. And then Goldberg said, oh, thank you, Lashley. No holds barred gives me a license to kill.
I can kill you.
No, it doesn't, Goldberg. Killing is still murder. That's still illegal, buddy.
Like, I know a guy who's got a Glock. I'll ring him up. It's a ringing up arm, being like, give me your Glock, mate. I need it. I've got to kill Bobby Lashley. And then Goldberg says in this bit, and this is my favorite bit of this whole promo. He says, I am going to leave your lifeless body in the ring, gasping for air. Those are two different. If this is gasping for air, Goldberg, he's not dead.
He's not lifeless, is he?
I've killed a lot of men before. All of them breathing still. Still up, walking around. Dead men, all of them. I've killed so many. Killed loads of men. All these living men that I've killed are dead.
Oh my god!
All of them, every single one, still
so
breathing.
Funny. And then, just to cap it all off, he says, "You're next, and you're dead."
Yeah.
God, Gorg, Jesus Christ! Also, he then went to go out the ring. He got attacked by Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander, and he speared him. Yay! Goldberg stands tall. He then went to go get out the ring and then realized that Lashley was still on the stage and he was like, oh, I need to stay in the ring actually, because that's how the staging's supposed to be. So he put the one leg up to go out the ring and then was like, actually, no, I'm going to stay here. Yeah, you Lashley, I'll see you at Crown Jewel.
Yeah, see you when you're dead. You'll remember it because you'll be dead.
Gasping for air when you're dead.
Oh,
and hilarious.
I love all these 50,
so
60 plus wrestlers talking about killing guys. It's amazing. It's like listening to your granddad. It's like, kill a guy one time. Got in the bathroom, killed him, stabbed him.
Right. So stupid. Seth Rollins is backstage with absolutely no reference to what happened on SmackDown, where he broke into Edge's house and was a dick in Edge's house and, ate an apple and drank some orange juice and sat in a chair. No reference to any of that, because that just ended on SmackDown, where Seth being in his house, and then Edge said, I'm going to get FTR to come over to the house, without actually saying FTR. He said Daniel and David, which is the real names of FTR. But he said, I'm going to get him to come over to the house. And then they never went back to it again. And then in this show, Seth's just here, and they go, oh, Seth's on Raw. And he goes, hey, I'm on Raw. So what happened with all of that then?
It was just also the promo was, "Hey Seth, you're here," and Seth went, "I am here. I am here. Here is me. I am here. I am here. Here I am. Don't talk about that. Here I am. I'm here."
Yeah. Yep, that was it. Also, yeah, Seth said the S word in this promo, and you know what? Didn't make it better, did it? Oof. Just because you throw in a naughty word doesn't make the promo better.
Hey,
Goodness me.
Yay, swearing.
And he says he's going to take care of all of that on SmackDown. It's literally him being like, guys, the continuity carries on SmackDown because it's a SmackDown feud. God, give me a minute. Dumb.
Jeez. Got 2 weeks before all of that's wiped from history and we all forget that I've been in his house eating his food.
New Day versus Hurt Business was next. The New Day won. I don't really have too much else to say about it. It was a quick little match. They'd already been speared by Goldberg, so they already had a massive disadvantage.
They were already dead, Pete.
They were already dead. Exactly, gasping for air. These guys. And yeah, New Day won. Street Profits came out and they said, "We're coming to Raw," and then they all danced.
Yep. Well, they also advertised. They also advertised Escape the Undertaker on Netflix.
They sure did.
Very briefly.
Which, by the way, I'm going to be doing with my friends on Thursday evening, and I'm so excited. It's going to be so bad. I can't wait.
I want to do a video of finding all the endings. I'll spend as many hours as it takes.
See, the thing is, we pitched that idea. As soon as it was announced, we're like, okay, we're making some content out of this. We're going to do that Escape the Undertaker thing. We're going to do like every possible ending. We're going to like do all of us reacted to it and all that stuff. And then everyone decided to go away. Luke's on paternity leave. Ollie's on holiday. I'm away at 2 weeks for 2 weeks at the end of this month. Adam's away soon. You're away for a week at the end of October. Like everyone's away at different times for like the next 2 months.
I will escape the Undertaker, Pete.
You will escape the Undertaker. I believe you. I believe you.
I might watch that better.
Yeah, watch Squid Game instead. We got a thing of Balor coming to Raw. He's there.
He's here. Oh, it was a 2, but it was not Pete. It's a 2-for-1. It was. It's like 2 picks in. It's like 2 picks in 1, Pete. It's like buying a transformer. It's a car and a robot. It's like 2 toys in 1.
You know what? You can get 2 picks for 1. Pick a tag team.
No, Pete.
2 picks in 1.
Best to split those up.
Jesus Christ.
The economy doesn't work if we pick the tag teams at once.
Can't believe the legitimate explanation we got for the Extreme Rules finish is the commentary team on SmackDown going, must have been the gods above. And that's it. It was God, everyone. It was God. Anyway, Orton and RKBro come out for a promo. Styles and Omos come out, and he does an RKO to Styles, and then runs away. Orton versus Omos coming soon.
Well, I think this was all like, this was kind of couched as it being Randy being a bit ruthless and a bit clever, and like he'd called Omos out so that Styles also came out. So he could attack Styles rather than fight Omos, which is that kind of all makes some sort of degree of sense. But I would have rather seen Randy Orton take on Omos, frankly. But I guess if he's not,
going to happen.
If maybe it was a bit up in the air about whether or not he's cleared, maybe they didn't want to give him a full match this week, so they did this bit. It was fine. Yeah. It was completely fine.
Yeah. We then got the final round of picks. Raw got Carmella. SmackDown got Ridge Holland from NXT. Just go. I'm hoping he can do something.
Pete Dunne's probably well happy about kicking Danny and Oni out of the group now, isn't he? Right.
Exactly,
you're going too. Fair, fine.
Yep. Sick. Raw then got Gable Steveson, which is surprising. But I mean, that's good. Gable Stevenson's going to be going to the main roster. Not unexpected. I wouldn't expect him to go to NXT 2.0. Can you imagine? But yeah, I think he's going to hopefully be really good. But I don't think he's probably going to wrestle until 2022, right? I don't think we'll see him anytime soon.
I think if they involve him at all, it's going to be in a similar vein to the way that Rousey was introduced. It will probably be somebody else taking him under their wing in a kind of setup for a match that happens at maybe Mania or something like that. Something with a bit of big build behind it, but somewhere where he can basically train that one match for a while. Because I feel like otherwise you'd want to obviously like the bit of acting that he did with his parents where he was like clapping himself going to Raw. It could use work. but obviously that's something that WWE will teach you, and maybe it's definitely not going to be immediate that he's thrust into like a major storyline off the back of that. But I feel like he's obviously someone who's technically gifted enough to just do a wrestling match. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how quickly like they build to a match, because I think he'll take to it incredibly fast.
I hope so, yeah. With his gold medal, hopefully that reminds us a bit of the angles. Would be nice, and how quickly he took to it. Final pick: SmackDown got Sami Zayn, and then we got the main event of Bianca Belair versus Charlotte Flair, and this was a decent match for what it was, but of course it ended in a schmoz, because of course it did. Becky Lynch, the Bianca Belair hit the KOD on Charlotte, looked like she was going to get the win, but then Becky came in and caused the DQ for reasons unknown. And then Sasha Banks came out and stood tall. Whoop-de-doo to a lot of this. Like, who's more over coming out of this? Because you can make the argument that, Bianca nearly beat Charlotte Flair. It's like, but she didn't. And sure, she's been in that position to win several times, but it doesn't really mean anything, because when it comes to the big matches, Bianca never really gets in that position to win. I don't know.
It makes me want to see.
But
it makes me want to see more Bianca and Charlotte. Frankly,
Yeah.
I think those two are very evenly matched. I think this match showed it. Like they both have a great gymnastic ability, as they showed off in the match. They both have quite extreme levels of power that they both got to show off at certain points in this match. They gel really well together, and I think like a proper, with a clean finish match between those two could be really great. But yeah, Becky was living Chekhov's gun, sitting at the side of the ring, because we just knew she was going to get involved. So you just knew it was going to go nowhere, and you knew that nothing was going to change and nothing was going to advance. And so, then Becky attacks. Sasha runs out from nowhere, attacks both Becky and Bianca, kneeing them both, and then hitting a backstabber onto Becky, standing tall to close the show. So it's just, this one match was trying to do about 7 different things at once, and it's too many things, Pete. When actually, just Charlotte and Bianca having a match for the championship that has a normal finish where Charlotte wins does more for both people than whatever this was. This was like 7 different things at once, and it just, and it started off as well. Sorry, can we just? I haven't had a chance to talk to anyone about Bianca Belair's AR. The sperm lips, Pete. Why does it look so much like a sperm? It's the little lips and the weird little tail. It's not
good. It's not
so
good.
Weird.
It looks awful.
It looks like a character from Our Real Monsters. That's what it looks like. It's awful.
It's not good at all. It's terrible. But anyway, Sasha Banks stood tall and the show ended, and I went, and that was my review of the whole show. It was, stuff happened, but none of it was very interesting. Didn't really make me excited for more stuff. I don't think the draft worked very well, as we spoke about at the start, and the stuff that wasn't the draft on this show was very by the books, and just not much happened. As you said in a throwaway line on your edited review, this was all filler, no killer. This was just stuff to fill time around the draft, and that was it.
I think this is the thing. So like, the draft is happening, we're filling time because the draft is happening. We've got 2 dead weeks essentially now, where we don't really have defined rosters for either show. We're also waiting for Crown Jewel, because that's when all the big matches are happening. But we've blown our load by having all the beatdowns and all the stuff already happen. Like, everything for Crown Jewel's already fairly set up, and people have already said, "I'm going to kill you." And Sasha Banks has already run in and nailed everyone involved in that match. So, like, what are we going to do for the next 2 weeks to hype those shows? Do you know what I mean? Like, it feels like kind of the main things that tend to happen to close out your closing angles, your go home shows, has already kind of occurred. So, like, what more wheel spinning can we possibly do to hype matches that have already been pre-announced? Like, there needs to be WWE needs to find a way that doesn't just rely on the fact that you go, well, I want to see Becky versus Bianca versus Sasha. Do you know what I mean? Like, I do want to see that, but that poster shouldn't be the only thing keeping the story together and the only thing keeping me interested in the idea of the match. Like, there should be some way of the story clicking together on the shows some way of showcasing all the talent and having really close matches that builds into this big match and makes that feel special. At the moment, it just feels like everything about it is confusing and part of something else. And there's Charlotte's involved somewhere, and Charlotte now going to be added to that match too, or is Becky just going to take on Charlotte when Becky retains her belt at Crown Jewel and Charlotte retains her belt? So then we're going to have them at Clash of Champions. Like, is that, or Survivor Series or whatever it is? Like, is that just going to be where we go?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd love to tell you, but I don't know. Anyway, overall, I'd have given this show similar to what you did. I think 2 out of 5. I don't have much else to say. It was a fairly poor show overall. I don't think the draft went well, and I don't think the episode of Raw was very good surrounding it. So,
I think when the wrestling happened, the wrestling was good, but this show dispensed with the wrestling incredibly quickly. And this is the thing: like, I know that they think they're a storytelling company. Their stories are Goldberg, a granddad, telling people, "I'm going to kill you."
Mm-hmm.
That's the story. You hurt my son. I'm going to kill you. And then he said that 6 times.
He did.
That's not
in
a
different
story.
ways.
That's one line of a story that you're eking out over a period of weeks, Pete. And we don't have time for people to celebrate the end of a match. We don't have more time to give matches more than 5 minutes time. It's bad TV.
Bad.
I dislike. No, it's a shame because I think the talent they've got is great. I think the matches when they're allowed to breathe are really good. But yeah, everything is just, why are they trying to do 4 things at once rather than just make the draft feel like, if this 2-week period of time means nothing, make the draft feel special then. Dispense of all the storyline. You've got another 2 weeks to do all the Crown Jewel storyline. It doesn't have to be, it's not that deep, man. Like, it's Becky's going to take on Bianca and Sasha because the stuff happened at Extreme Rules. That's already set up. You don't need to do any of this other stuff. Just have fun. Do a draft. Make it silly. Put all the people in the room. Have matches. Have surprises where people come out and announce that they're on a show. Don't just boringly tell us who's going where as if you're reading out like the rota for the week. Like, do something fun with it. It's meant to be a bit of TV. It's meant to be a jumping off point, and nothing about this draft was used to further a storyline properly.
Yeah, 100% agree. Well, before we get into the rest of your Ultra Chats here, we've got to say thank you to some very special people, and those are our $25 and above Pledgehammers over on our Patreon page. If you haven't been to our Patreon page yet, you should. Go check it out. Loads of extra bonus content, loads of fun stuff. And if you pledge at the $25 or above tier, you get your own custom wrestling nickname, and it gets read out on a show, much like this one. So thank you to Meticulous Michaela Troll. Thank you. Yes.
I can't see that, Pete, so you're going to have to do it.
You can't see him. I'm just doing all of them, I guess. All right, sick.
Yeah.
The Junus Brothers, Junus Hakonen. Yay. Thank you. General Jimmy G. Thank you very much. NJ Hornsberg. Yes. Thank you. Victor Henry Napoleon Dynamite. Hell yeah. Thank you. The $100 Man, CD Horver. Woo. Thank you. The Kessel Run, DX Solo. Amazing.
Hey.
Thank you. Mad Mac the Meat Father. Oof. Amazing. Thank you.
That's a hell of a name.
I know. Ryan Disco Stewart. Lovely. Thank you very much. Super Kick Nick Mezesco. Woo. Thank you. Double L Liam Leonard. Woo. Thank you.
Double L.
And the Findicator Finn Brennan. Woo. Thank you very much.
The Findicator.
Yeah.
Do the Jeff Hardy clap, someone said.
Thank you very much, all of our Pledgehammers. Let's get into the rest of your Ultra Chats real quick. We'll speed through them, and then we'll end the show because we've already overran. Sean Blandford says, gotta love the epic troll job WWE did to Alexa Bliss. Everyone wants their draft. They've got a great looking page with a list of accomplishments. Alexa, ugly cry face. This company. That was... She had a breakdown, didn't she? Saeed Al-Ansari says, when Brock Lesnar said he's a free agent, I think he's meant he's just like John Cena back in 2017, where he can go to either Raw or SmackDown whenever he wants. That's not the rules of the draft that they set out. That's... Whatever. 69 Intangible Sadie Deegan says, hey, pretty boys. Well, if it ain't my favorite duo, Papa Laurie and his champion son. How dare you? So Raw happened. The women's title scene is confusion. It's too late, guys. I got my hopes up for Shayna. I'm actually excited for her on SmackDown. Let her win everything. Yeah, I want Shayna to win everything. She's great. More Shayna. Yes. Peter Mullins says, I've been trying to look at WWE through a different lens of late, seeing as how WWE isn't wrestling. I've stopped analyzing it as a wrestling product. I look at it as a TV show and as a business. Since I've been doing this, it makes even less sense. I
mean, this is the thing. Don't try and watch it as a TV show rather than a wrestling show.
No.
Like, it's an even worse TV show than it is a wrestling show.
Let me stop you there, Laurie. Don't try and watch it. Just end the sentence there. Just don't try and watch it.
No, sometimes it's good, Pete. Sometimes it's good.
Sure.
There are little moments, tiny little nuggets of gold in there.
In the 3-hour show.
Sometimes. Yeah, somewhere. Yeah. It's like panning for gold, though. Panning for gold wouldn't be fun if you found gold every single time, would it?
True. Yeah.
It's the anticipation.
It's not how TV works. Marcus G. Hagberg says, new ego for Hardy, Willow, Itchweed. Sure. Saeed Al-Ansari again says, I thought WWE was going to tie the Montez Ford commentary table botch with the Finn Balor's turnbuckle incident because they are kind of similar in a sense that both were abrupt and happened to wrestlers who were against Roman Reigns. No, the commentary table botch wasn't planned and the rope one was, so... Because WWE don't want to lead into that story. Whatever.
He's gone now, isn't he, Finn? See you, mate.
Yeah, he's over to Raw now. And so is the Street Profits. Off you go,
Go on, take you and your demon off your pop. There will be no investigation.
Yeah. Laxmi Narasimhan B says, with their roster growing by the week, maybe AEW might eventually need a split between Dynamite, Rampage, and Dark. Only fix the loopholes WWE ignores. Split brands is not a TM, is it? Darn, Vince is rushing to the patent office to file it, isn't he? I don't think AEW needs to split brands at all. I don't see the benefit.
No, I think the way their programs work works really nicely because you can hype things for different shows. So you ask people to watch different stuff, and having your best talent appear on all of them is a really good way to get people to watch all the different stuff and hopefully discover new people that will then, after a short period of refreshment on the smaller things like Dark and Dark Elevation, move back up to being featured on Dynamite. It keeps your wrestlers wrestling while also feeling like it's worth it because storylines can still continue, but also gives them a chance to rest and refresh the rosters on the main shows. Mm-hmm. Whereas WWE's problem is they have huge rosters and they only feature half of them on one show in usually the same combinations, I guess. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I believe that is it for the Ultrachats as well. So that is going to draw this episode to a close. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching and coming hanging out. If you're watching on Catch Up, please press the videos that have just appeared on the screen to catch up with more awesome WrestleTalk content, and the button in the middle that will take you over to our Patreon page where you can become a Pledgehammer, get all that sweet bonus content and all the extra awesome stuff. I have been Jabba Pequeno, your Jam That Champion. I've been joined by El Fakador, Laurie Blake, and that was Raw. Jam That Jam, Intangibles for Life, etc. Bye.